Story 1. Remind myself that life is full of ups and downs. Focusing on small victories, staying active, and remembering everything is temporary helps. It's a mindset shift that keeps me going. Story 2. Remind myself that it's okay to struggle and grow through tough times. Everything is temporary, and I find comfort in small joys like music or nature. It helps me stay grounded and hopeful. Story 3. This too shall pass. It might pass like a kidney stone, but it will pass. Also, this classic from Steve Harvey. If you were going through hell, keep going. Why would you stop in hell? Story 4. That it more than likely could be much worse. Unless you live in a third world country, the likelihood is that you have it significantly better than a significant portion of the global population. Story 5. I have been through much more hell in life than the average person, and I have survived and even thrived because I never quit. I have had worse is my mantra. Story 6. After overcoming my last problem, I promised myself I would never get suicidal again. Instead, I will keep my head down and work hard to overcome any other problem I might encounter. Story 7. Right now is the third worst time in my life. I remind myself that I got through those times, and I was weaker back then. I keep being my own best ally, keep doing my healthy habits, and things will get better. Story 8. Winston Churchill once said, "If you are going through hell, keep going." My addition to that is, but please make sure that you are not just walking in circles. Story 9. To be completely honest, there is really nothing that makes me feel better during those times. However, my habit of going to the gym to get my mind off it has been helpful over the long term. Emotionally, having a friend randomly call you to take you out for a bite was significant. I know that's rare nowadays. Story 10. I just repeat to myself that there is no other way and that I can go through it, that I just have to do it slowly and just one step at a time. Story 11. I remind myself not to quit trying to overcome whatever is holding me back or keeping me down. Perseverance is everything. Remind yourself that hard things happening in our lives rarely last forever, are almost always survivable, and that they serve to help us recognize and appreciate the good times when they eventually do come back around. Life is constantly changing. Expect to hit a wall once in a while. Learn to give yourself credit for mustering the strength to push on through to the other side because you deserve it. Story 12. If you don't sacrifice for what you want becomes the sacrifice. This quote helped me a lot when I wanted to give up doing something for myself and my future. Story 13. I asked myself, is this a real problem? Or is this an inconvenience that my mind is making a problem? It kind of allows me to zoom out or in accordingly. Story 14. I count my blessings. Sometimes it's just that I'm grateful for my family and to be employed. Sometimes I'm grateful my joints don't hurt today. Sometimes finding something to be grateful for is hard, but there always seems to be something. Story 15. I am given this hardship so that I can grow. I am just a dust particle in this vast universe. There is no point in feeling self-important or feeling distressed. Dealing with reality on reality's terms. I have very little control in this universe. I can try, but whatever happens, I have to accept it. Everything is just Leela, time orchestrating trillions of events in a chaotic way. Everything is playing its designated role. I should not expect things to go the way I want or need. Story 16. I never forget I'm at war with life, and it's not over until I win. I am usually angry at life itself, not at any particular person. I don't have a short temper, but the way I see life sometimes really turns me into John Wick for all the unfortunate things that have ever happened to me. It becomes fuel for me to continue living through the hard times, using anger as a drive. If you've lost your mom to cancer, had cancer yourself, were born shorter than average, lost your hearing and became deaf, lost your home to a hurricane in 2006, or lost your dog to a loose dog, you could relate to the revenge mindset I have at life. Story 17. I remind myself about the times in the past when I worried about big issues that worked out somehow. I also remind myself about the times when my worries weren't even valid. Story 18. That storms will pass and I am not the only one having a hard time. My grandmother used to say, "Worse things happen at sea," and she lived through 2 world wars. Story 19. You're the only one who can change it, and no one will do it for you. If you live in the hard moments with difficult thoughts to yourself, you will stay much longer in a tough time than if you had a positive mindset and tried to figure it out. Story 20. My grandparents lived through World War II. My grandpa's brother was shot in front of him. They never heard from two other siblings ever again. They moved to America after the war, and my grandpa landscaped until he was 77 to provide for the family. Grandma and grandpa didn't have much, but they still always had friends over and an open spot at the table. I was surprised to see someone who wronged them over one day. My grandma said, "We are just who we are. What else is there except the people around us?" Something like that. Anyway, we are blessed, all of us. Even when broke and feeling bad. At least we aren't living under the threat of Nazis. Story 21. I tell myself you could quit now. If I don't quit, it's important to me. Not that I'm a quitter, I just believe there are better things to put my efforts on. Maybe something with a better return. Story 22. That I can't die. Not for a while anyway. It's not my time. I'm not getting too deep into it, but yeah, that's it. I always remind myself that I can't die and that it wouldn't be the best option. Story 23. No matter how good you manage your life, you will spend time walking through the rain and the valleys. Keep going. It's all a learning experience, and it's what forges us and makes us worthy for the long run. Story 24. I think of the tough times I have gone through in the past and how, for the most part, they didn't matter and I was able to get through it. So I will get through this. Nothing is permanent. Story 25. Worse things have happened to better people. Stole it from my brother. Even when my world is going to ruin, I find the good. Why dwell on the bad? It's always going to be there. Deal with the bad, but focus on the good. There is always something good. Story 26. Not one but many things. I keep a pep list. It's just a rundown of all the good things that are currently happening or have happened. If I ever find myself feeling negative, I read the list as a reminder that things generally haven't been that bad and tend to work out for the best. Story 27. This too shall pass is my mantra. Life is terrible and you are about done. This too shall pass. Likewise, life is awesome and you are on top of the world. This too shall pass. Story 28. If it's a tough moment, some difficult meeting or a short-term problem, I imagine the day being over. It is already behind me. I am walking away, and soon I will be in my bed at home. If it is a longer period of pain, I try to go to a happy, calm place. It is usually me walking in the woods with my dog. I think that this pain will one day be over, and I will walk in the forest with my dog. I will smile and feel happy. Story 29. That it will get better and that I will learn something from it. You have to get through the darkness before having light in your life. Dark times teach you a lot, and once those hard times pass, you will find joy in your life and start to appreciate it more. It happened to me every single time I hit rock bottom. I always told myself to never resort to drinking or drugs as it postpones your healing and growth process. Story 30. One memory I often return to is my younger brother and me playing Minecraft together. We both had low-end, dirt-cheap personal computers and no voice chat. So we would open the doors to both our rooms and shout through the whole house whenever we wanted to communicate. I think we started at version 1.5.6. It could have been an earlier one, though. I think that was the last long period of time when I felt safe, even carefree, and when things get hard, I like to remind myself that moments like these still happen and will happen to me. Another thing I also remind myself is the fact that when I was near suicide at age 14, I had already prepared tools for ending my life. I instead chose to live out my life because I won't get another shot, so I might as well get as much out of it as possible. Whether I die tonight or in 50 years, I will remain dead for eternity, so why run to greet the Reaper? Story 31. Every time I get out of the shower, the mist allows me to write, "Stay positive" on the mirror. Every day it has lifted my spirits since I was 15. I am 33 years old. Story 32. My dad once told me, life can be as complicated or simple as you want it to be. In both situations, it's still not that hard. That hard meaning that whatever you're going through will pass for better or worse. Story 33. A personal mantra I use is, I'm still here, so the story must not be over yet. I use it with a similar meaning to the show must go on. When I used to act, if there was a mistake in the show or stumbling on lines, we were required to just go with it and improvise until we got back on track. Stopping during a performance was worse than messing up. I took this concept with me and applied it to my values in life. The show will always go on. Story 34. I can leave. I am not stuck in Florida. I am not stuck in the United States. My wife and I have the means to pack up and move to New Zealand, as we have discussed numerous times and have begun planning for. We are not trapped here. Story 35. When things get hard and I am attacked by severe stress, anxiety, and depression, I remind myself not to die or commit suicide because my pet would be pitiful if I were to leave this world first. I don't want them to end up like Hachiko. Story 36. I think to myself that even if one door closes, another door opens, or man's rejection is God's protection. Most importantly, I think of my son who needs his mother no matter what, so I keep going until things get better. Story 37. Everything is easy compared to training judo or any hard sport. The hardest thing I do for fun. It makes my regular day-to-day problems easier to overcome. I have a tough job where I need to constantly remind myself of this. Story 38. I find in my experience that preparing for difficult times usually gets you through faster. That's why I think we go through tough periods, to learn how to not repeat them or make the inevitable a softer blow. I remind myself that challenges aren't new and they won't be the last. Just push through and pay attention next time. Sometimes your hard times will be out of your control. In those cases, you just have to endure and not give up. Story 39. It can always get worse, and it might, and then you'll understand how normal people feel. The world is not perfect. Nobody expects it to be. You're not dead. You can become anything as long as you say, not yet, instead of no. Thoughts are optional, honestly. Understand the difference between those that are and aren't. Story 40. This won't last, I just have to get over this hump. I have a great family. I have friends who love and support me. I have a secure job, an apartment, and a car. Things get hard sometimes, but I have a good life and I have what I need. Life has many challenges. Some are harder than others. Everything will be okay. Outlook makes a big difference. Story 41. If life were easy, it would be boring. We find things tough because we are learning how to deal with any particular situation. Then it becomes boring because you are able to deal with the situation. Story 42. I've been feeling on the edge for the last 10 years. I just graduated from community college with an electronics engineering associate degree at 39 years old. I want to give it a chance before I make any irreversible decisions. I'm hoping I can completely turn my life around with it, trying to get into robotics. Story 43. Let it be. I even got it tattooed on me with a minimalist late 1960s Paul McCartney to remind myself. I watched his carpool karaoke during the pandemic and was inspired. Once everything opened up again, I got it done. It has helped. Story 44. I always remind myself that time keeps moving. I have many things I tell myself, but if I feel like I'll be stuck in this place forever or it's going slow at work, time always moves. Story 45. I remind myself that I've gotten through every hard thing I've faced so far. Even when it felt impossible, I figured it out. If I could do it then, I can do it now, one step at a time. Story 46. I can look around my community and find someone worse off than me. Be gracious and thankful for what you have. Those families would love to have only my problems. I came from poverty, the kind where consistent food wasn't guaranteed. I had friends where shelter and warmth weren't guaranteed. Even in a struggle, degrees of survival make you appreciate things. Story 47. That everything happens for a reason, and if you are unhappy in a certain place, it is because you are not meant to be there. The Creator will never allow you to be comfortable in a place where you are not meant to be. Everything is all part of the Creator's plan to lead us exactly where we are meant to be, even if we do not understand the situations or reasons at times. You just have to trust it and go with it. Story 48. It's happening for you, not to you. You have no idea what is on the other side and you cannot see it now, but somehow, someway, no matter how much it does not seem like it, ultimately this situation will work out to your advantage. Story 49. The people that have gone on before me and achieved during adversity. I remember what my parents and my grandparents did and what they know I can do. I also think of the great book God is My Co-Pilot. Story 50. I can survive anything. In a 3-month span, I lost my job, my wife left, I was sleeping in my car, and I had skin cancer. Plus, I lost so much weight and was sleeping so poorly that I ended up passing out and found myself in the hospital. A few months later, I got hired 3 times in a 2-week span and somehow still didn't have a job. This all didn't kill me. Nothing can at this point. Story 51. I've had a map of the solar system in my bedroom for decades and see it every day. It reminds me daily how insignificant I am in a good way, which means everything's okay relative to the universe. Story 52. I have quite a few. The most acute and action-oriented is placing my palm flat on my chest and, in light, easy circles, I soothe myself by saying, "We can do hard things." The "we" was me and my heart while going through horrible atrial fibrillation episodes, but I've healed and still do it when I'm facing something tough or scary. I hope an easy mantra will help you too. Story 53. Not one thing, but it could be worse. It gets harder before it gets easier. Many people would feel extremely grateful or lucky to be in my situation. Let go of the ego. Things will be all right. Story 54. I always say that if it's hard, it's worth it. So if you're experiencing a tough time, it will pay off or brighter days will be ahead. When something seems too easy, it could be too good to be true. I think this applies to work, exercise, or discipline with a diet, or having to make tough choices in a relationship.